Let me tell you a tale. A tale that deals with love and betrayal. One of loss and identity. Acceptance and forgiveness. A tale that shows us that what makes you, you is so much more than just yourself. But in fact, that it's also the people around you that help shape who you are. They are your living legacy. Our story begins overlooking the dystopian steampunk city of Midgar, famous for the iconic cyan glow produced by the Mako Reactors that power the city. We are thrown headfirst into the heat of the action with our first introduction of the eco-activist group, Avalanche. The team is made up of the eccentric tech-savvy Jesse, the timid but eager Wedge, Biggs, the weapons specialist, and the hot-headed, passionate leader, Barrett Wallace. The team is joined by their temporary new recruit, the ex-soldier, Cloud Strife. We learn that Avalanche is right in the middle of a mission en route to the Mako Reactor 1. Mako Reactors are the conduits that supply energy to the different sections of Midgar. Cloud was personally recommended for this special mission because of his history in Soldier. Soldier is the personal military task force for the global energy conglomerate, Shinra. Shinra uses Soldier to enforce their dominance in the global energy landscape. Barrett explains that Shinra's hold on Mako energy is killing the planet. Mako, as it stands, is a finite resource, and it's the life source of the planet that they live on, the planet Gaia. The harvesting of Mako energy is having adverse effects on the planet itself, so in turn, it is Avalanche's goal to ensure the preservation of Gaia by any means necessary. With the team briefed on their objectives, Cloud and Barrett make their way to the heart of the Mako Reactor. With Jesse's explosives in hand, Cloud attempts to prime the explosives on the reactor. Before he can set the explosives though, Cloud undergoes an enigmatic sensation of somewhat familiarity. Cloud senses that this is not a traditional reactor. Before they knew it, Cloud and Barrett are ambushed by one of Shinra's security mechs, the Guard Scorpion. With their combined combat prowess, Cloud and Barrett were able to overcome their foe. With their attentions back on the reactor, Cloud finishes priming the explosives. Now with detonation imminent, Cloud and Barrett regroup with the rest of the team and make their escape. With the mission over and a complete success, Barrett directs the team to disband and to regroup at the train station. Barrett advises that it would be much smarter to travel individually amongst the chaos instead of drawing attention to themselves as a group. Cloud makes his way to the rendezvous point, but before he can, he is stopped by a flower girl. She offers Cloud a flower, and it being such a rare sight in the slums, he accepts her generous offer. Cloud makes his way to the rendezvous point, but before he can, he is cut off by Shinra's security. Cloud tries to fight them off, but Shinra forces pin him down over an overpass. At this moment, it must have been fate, as a trait begins to pass under his location. Without hesitation, Cloud jumps over the pass and onto the speeding train to make his daring escape. With nothing short of a coincidence, Cloud crashes on the very train he was supposed to rendezvous at with the team. Reunited with Avalanche and en route to their hideout, Jesse and Barrett break down the state of Midgar to Cloud. Midgar, as a large metropolitan city, houses a lot more disparity within its streets than anyone would deem acceptable. The social divide amongst the citizens of Midgar have the upper crust citizens literally built on top of the lower class, leading to the structure of the upper plate and lower plates of Midgar, literally and symbolically making the lower class citizens the structural foundation of Midgar. The denizens of the lower plate are completely cut off from the outside world, with some people not even being able to experience daylight within their lifetimes. The lower plate suffers from terrible pollution that has transformed the lower sectors into widespread slums. When it comes to cutting-edge global energy, Shinra is an unstoppable leader within the field. So much so, Shinra currently has a monopoly on the planet's Mako energy, which has turned them into an oppressive superpower. With their control, Shinra has affected the lives and well-being of everyone on the planet with their dominance. With Shinra's mass control on the planet's resources, everyone has no choice but to follow Shinra's oppressive rules and demands. The team makes its way back to their hideout. the 7th Heaven Bar, located in the Sector 7 slums. Once inside the bar, we meet one of Barrett's motivations for saving the planet from Shinra. We are introduced to Barrett's daughter Marlene, as well as the last member of Avalanche, Cloud's childhood friend, Tifa Lockhart. Tifa is the kind-hearted motherly figure of the group. She is always thinking of others and being the pillar of strength and emotional support for the team. So when Tifa joined Avalanche, she offered her bar as a base of operations for everyone. While the team goes on missions, Tifa usually stays behind to look after Marlene and the hideout. But despite mostly holding down the home base with the team, Tifa is no pushover on the battlefield. With her extensive background in martial arts training, she is unrivaled in hand-to-hand combat, and is more than qualified to be on the front lines when the moment calls for it. With the mission over, Cloud is ready to talk business with Barret to go over his payment for the success of the mission. Barret sees that Cloud has a lot of potential as a fighter and would make a great addition to the team, but Barret questions Cloud's values and loyalties, accusing Cloud that he hasn't completely cut ties with Shinra. Cloud is outraged by the remark and wants to make it very clear that he has no connections with Shinra at all. On top of that, Cloud lets everyone know that he could care less about the well-being of the planet and is only in it for the money. Tifa tries to calm Cloud down and wants him to reconsider leaving the team. Tifa attempts to convince Cloud that the planet is dying, slowly but surely, and that if he won't join the team for the planet, then to do it because of their promise. Cloud is taken aback and has trouble remembering the promise the two of them shared, back when they were kids 7 years ago. Tifa reminds Cloud of his childhood dream of becoming the greatest soldier ever, and that he vowed to always be there for her whenever she was in need. Feeling guilty, Cloud agrees to join Avalanche. Barret comes up with Cloud's payment for the mission, but the two have to negotiate since the funds are coming from Barret's savings from Marlene's education. They agree on a price, and the team gets ready for the next mission. Barret briefs the team on the next assignment, the destruction of the Sector 5 reactor, and this time, it's all hands on deck with Tifa accompanying the team. With Biggs, Jesse, and Wedge tasked as diversions, Barret, Cloud, and Tifa will be the main force to destroy the reactor. With everyone's jobs assigned, the team boards the monorail en route to their destination. Once Barret, Cloud, and Tifa arrive at their objective, Cloud undergoes a similar episode he had at the Sector 1 reactor, except this time, he experiences a flashback more akin to PTSD. During this flashback, Cloud witnesses a memory of Tifa inside of an old Mako Reactor. Cloud sees Tifa crouched over the lifeless body of her father. We learn he was killed by an ex-soldier member called Sephiroth. In this moment, we see the source of Tifa's hatred for Shinra, and that she vows to seek revenge. As quickly as the flashback comes, it went, as Cloud comes to his senses. Trying to keep his composure, Cloud urges Tifa and Barret to move on with the mission. With the bomb planted, the group makes their escape. Before Barret, Cloud, and Tifa can reach the exit, they are cut off by Shinra soldiers. At this moment, the president of Shinra Corp makes his grand entrance before our team. President Shinra explains that he was tipped off to Avalanche's plan to bomb the reactor, so he took the necessary measures to set a trap for our group. Cloud moves towards President Shinra, seemingly to be familiar with him personally. But President Shinra doesn't share the same sentiment, stating that he's unfamiliar with who Cloud is. He's only able to tell that Cloud used to be a soldier from the Mako-colored eyes that Cloud possesses. President Shinra shows no interest in prolonging this encounter, so he brands Cloud a traitor and sends out one of Shinra's mechs to destroy the team. With the combined forces of Barret, Cloud, and Tifa, they were able to make quick work of the Shinra mech, but in the aftermath of the battle, the mech explodes, destroying the bridge the team was standing on. Being separated by the blast, Cloud is hanging on the remaining ledge of the bridge, with Barret and Tifa unable to reach him. Before the team can figure out how to save Cloud, the bomb from the reactor goes off and blows Cloud off into the ravine. Cloud crashes through a church in the Sector 5 slums. He is woken up by a familiar face. It's the flower girl he met in Sector 1. She introduces herself as Aerith and informs Cloud that he's very lucky that the roof in the flower bed broke his fall. Aerith explains that it's very rare to see flowers grow anywhere in the slums, but for some reason they have no issue growing here. Cloud and Aerith seem to show that they have great chemistry with each other. During their conversation, Aerith reveals that she has a piece of materia that she received from her mom. And even though she's pretty experienced using materia, it seems like hers doesn't have any special properties. With the formalities out of the way, Cloud informs Aerith that he's a bit of a mercenary, and Aerith finds Cloud's skills very interesting. Before Cloud and Aerith become more acquainted with each other, they are interrupted by a man in a dark blue suit. Aerith recognizes the man and is motivated to hire Cloud on as her bodyguard in exchange for a date. Cloud agrees to the terms and confronts the man in the suit. As Cloud approaches the man, he doesn't recognize him. Actually, Cloud does know this man, and he recognizes the uniform that he's wearing. He identifies the man in the suit as a member of the Turks. Wanting to avoid a fight in the church, Aerith encouraged Cloud to follow him through the back exit. We learn from the Shinra grunts that the name of the man in the suit is Reno. Reno orders his men to give chase, but he also notices that Cloud has Mako eyes, the mark of a soldier. Cloud and Aerith make their escape through the rooftop of the church. Finally losing their pursuers, Cloud and Aerith get a chance to take a breather. Aerith tells Cloud this is not her first encounter with Shinra. Cloud is shocked to hear that Aerith has gained the attention of Shinra, and that is a pretty big deal. Cloud informs Aerith that she doesn't have the attention of just Shinra, but also their high-profile division, the Turks. The Turks are Shinra's personal covert task force. They execute multiple operations engaging in reconnaissance and espionage, including kidnappings and assassinations on behalf of the Shinra Corporation. So having the likes of the Turks on your back is no laughing matter. This is a prime example on how far Shinra's reach as an organization truly goes. Cloud informs it's rather odd to see that Aerith has the attention of the Turks, and he speculates that the Turks must have a good reason for being in pursuit of her. But unfortunately, Aerith can't think of any reasons why that they would be after her. As they make their way through the slums, Aerith asks Cloud if he was ever in Soldier. She noticed that his eyes had a unique glow to them. Cloud confirms with Aerith that he was, and then goes on to explain that the glow comes from being directly infused with Mako energy, and that is a true mark of being in Soldier. But Cloud is curious as to how Aerith would know such a specific detail. Aerith completely avoids the question, and the two make their way through the slums. Cloud and Aerith arrive at Aerith's home, where Cloud meets Elmira, Aerith's mother. Aerith introduces Cloud as her bodyguard to Elmira, and tells her how she was followed again. Elmira is grateful to Cloud for protecting her daughter. With Aerith safe at home, Cloud asks for directions to Tifa's bar. Aerith's curiosity is piqued from hearing the name, and asks Cloud if Tifa is a girl. Cloud replies yes to the question. Probing further, Aerith asks if Tifa is Cloud's girlfriend. Cloud is completely embarrassed by the question, and answers that she's not. Aerith finds Cloud's reaction cute, and agrees to take him to Sector 7. Aerith tells Elmira that she's going to show Cloud the way to Sector 7. Elmira doesn't approve of the idea, but persuades them to rest overnight before they make their trip. Before Cloud can go to his room to rest, Elmira pulls him aside. Elmira notices that Cloud has Mako eyes, and understands why her daughter is taking such a liking to him. Wanting to protect Aerith from any harm, Elmira urges Cloud to leave in the middle of the night without Aerith. Cloud agrees, and heads to his room. When the time comes, Cloud sneaks out of the house to make his way back to Tifa's bar. As Cloud makes his way through the slums, he is cut off by Aerith. Taking Cloud completely by surprise, Aerith forces Cloud to let her come to Sector 7. They decide to take a break at a small little park right outside the entrance. Aerith becomes curious and asks Cloud what rank he was in Soldier. Cloud responds to her and tells her that he was, in ranked first class. Aerith states that Cloud was in the same rank as someone she knew in Soldier, her first boyfriend. Suddenly, the Sector 7 gate opens and a large carriage comes through, transporting Tifa on the back. Cloud notices and is shocked to see Tifa here. The carriage makes its way deeper into the slums. Without hesitation, Aerith quickly follows after it, with Cloud close behind. The two follow the trail and end up making their way to the Sector 6 town, the Wall Market. The Wall Market is a large shopping center for the citizens of Sector 6, but the area is also notorious for the underground dealings that takes place as well. The Wall Market is famous for its dangerous red light district, and also being run by the local crime lord, Don Corneo. Aerith and Cloud make their way through the shady market district, looking for any leads towards finding Tifa. They find out that Tifa was taken to Don Corneo's mansion. Aerith and Cloud run straight to the mansion, and run into one of the recruiters. He informs them that Don Corneo is looking to settle down in life, so he's holding auditions for a future bride, and Tifa is a potential candidate. Cloud tries to convince the recruiter that he needs to get inside the mansion. The recruiter states that it's impossible and that only women are allowed into the building. Sparked with an idea, Aerith tells the recruiter that she'll be back later, and that she has a friend that will be a perfect candidate for Don Corneo. Aerith takes Cloud, and the two leave the mansion. Cloud is unsure what Aerith is planning, and she explains that the only way that he can get inside the mansion is to dress up like a girl. Cloud is not keen on the plan, but agrees to it for Tifa's sake. Aerith and Cloud commit to the plan and begin interacting with the colorful denizens of the wall market. Our pair participate in a wide variety of activities that gain the necessary pieces to Cloud's disguise. After mingling with the girls and the male dancers from the Honeybee Inn, weightlifting with drag queens, and hiring the service of a drunken fashion designer, Cloud gains the necessary tools and skills to pull off his disguise. This will surely be a night Aerith, and especially Cloud, will never forget. With Cloud's disguise complete, the two head straight to Don Corneo's mansion. When they reach the entrance, the recruiter is shocked to see two high-profile candidates in front of him. He gladly lets Aerith and the disguised Cloud into the mansion. Now that Cloud and Aerith's hard work is finally paying off, they quickly search the mansion to find Tifa's location. They reach the mansion's basement, where they finally are reunited with Tifa. Cloud, being embarrassed of the current situation, doesn't have the guts to face Tifa. Analyzing the situation and sensing Cloud's embarrassment, Aerith introduces herself to Tifa. Having a little fun, Aerith teases Tifa and Cloud's relationship. Tifa fails to understand, and Aerith reveals that Cloud is with them as they speak. Tifa takes a closer look and sees through Cloud's disguise. She is completely shocked to see Cloud dressed like this. Tifa quickly gets over the fact that Cloud is in a dress and is just relieved to see him safe altogether. Tifa explains to Cloud the events after the Sector 5 reactor. Tifa and Barret made it back to the hideout, only to find a strange man stalking the place. Barret caught the man and was able to squeeze some information out of him. It turns out the man was working for Don Corneo. The whole encounter didn't sit well with Tifa, so she chose to go on her own mission to find out more information of Don Corneo, even against Barret's orders. The group's little reunion is cut short as the mansion's host informs them that Don Corneo is ready to see them. The three girls appear before Don Corneo, and he is truly delighted to see his options. Don Corneo sizes up the girls while paying particular attention to Cloud. The Don is done contemplating and has reached his decision, and to everyone's shock, the Don chooses Cloud to be his bride. The group is left speechless with Don Corneo's decision. It would seem that Cloud's disguise ended up working a little too well. The Don offers up Tifa and Aerith to the rest of his men, and takes Cloud into his private chamber so they can get better acquainted. The Don tries to be more intimate with Cloud, but Cloud shuts down his advances. Don Corneo wonders why Cloud is avoiding him and asks if there's someone else. In a way to be cheeky, Cloud replies yes, and that the man's name is Barret. Growing tired of this interaction, Cloud reveals that he's actually a guy. At this moment, Tifa and Aerith bust into the room. The group gang up on Don Corneo and attempt to force information out of him. Don Corneo confesses that he was contracted by Shinra to find out the whereabouts of the Avalanche leader, the man with the gun for an arm. He reveals that the job came personally from Heidegger, the head of public safety of Shinra. The plan was to crush the heart of Avalanche at their core. And when he means crush, he means literally. Heidegger wants to be absolutely sure that Avalanche is destroyed by taking the Sector 7 upper plate and dropping it on the slums below. In complete shock by the horrific plan, the group makes an attempt to escape Don Corneo's mansion. But before they can, the Don springs a trapdoor and Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith fall into the sewers below. We now get a look at Shinra HQ proper, getting an inside look into the dealings between the Shinra executives. President Shinra is holding a meeting between two of his high-ranking executives, Heidegger and the head of urban development, Reeve. Heidegger informs President Shinra the plan to destroy Sector 7 is underway, and that he has the top Turk agents handling it personally. President Shinra is pleased to hear the news, but Reeve has major issues with the matter. Reeve pleads with his colleagues that it's not worth losing such a large community just to get rid of such a small rebel group, since the plan is way too excessive and unnecessary, and that there's no way the mayor of Midgar would ever approve of such an action. Unmoved by Reeve's words, President Shinra and Heidegger are unconvinced. Heidegger makes it clear that they don't have to worry about the mayor interfering, since they already have him in his back pocket. President Shinra explains that they already have the necessary measures in place for Avalanche to take the full blame of the incident. And the whole plan in the end will make the Shinra Corporation look like saviors when they come to help with the restoration effort. Reeve is in disbelief, feeling helpless with the whole situation. We regroup with Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith as they make their escape from Don Corneo's trap, and make their way to Sector 7. Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith arrive at Sector 7, only to find the assault has already begun. The group sees the rest of Avalanche fighting for their lives on the top of the Sector 7 pillar. Barret is leading the charge and protecting the pillar from Shinra's onslaught. All of a sudden, Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith see someone get thrown off the edge of the pillar. They come crashing right down before their very eyes. They rush over to help, only to find Wedge killed from the impact. Without a moment to lose, Tifa asks Aerith to go down to her bar down the street. Tifa explains to Aerith that there should be a little girl there named Marlene. She wants Aerith to make sure that Marlene's okay and to take her somewhere safe. Aerith agrees and knows just the place to take her. Aerith goes after Marlene, and Cloud and Tifa make their way up the pillar. As Cloud and Tifa make their way up the pillar, they run into the bodies of Biggs and Jessie. They hear Jessie's dying words, and she states that she's remorseful and that this must be punishment for all the people that Avalanche has killed on their missions. Cloud and Tifa make it to the top of the pillar to find Barret alone, fending off Shinra's onslaught. Reno swoops down on top of the pillar, taking the group by surprise. Reno sets the bomb to detonate on the pillar before Barret, Tifa, and Cloud get a chance to stop him. A battle between our team and Reno rages on as Sang, the leader of the Turks, comes in by helicopter to assist in Reno's escape. Barret tries to attack the helicopter, but Sang warns him that they have taken Aerith hostage. Sang reveals that the reason that Shinra is so interested in Aerith is because she's the last of her race, the race called the Ancients. Before the Turks make their escape, Aerith lets the group know that Marlene is safe. Unable to disarm the bomb, Barret finds a crane that the group can use to get down safely. Barret, Cloud, and Tifa jump on the crane and escape the blast of the pillar. As the bomb goes off, we see the explosion destroy the supports on the pillar. The upper plate comes rushing down, crushing the denizens of Sector 7 below. Amidst the destruction, we see President Shinra gazing down from Shinra Tower in satisfaction as his horrific plan comes to complete success. We find Barret, Cloud, and Tifa have landed safely in the Sector 6 slums. Upon seeing the wreckage, Barret is devastated, knowing that everyone in Sector 7 and his closest friends of Avalanche are gone, and most of all, Barret breaks down in a fierce rage in thinking that his daughter Marlene is dead. Tifa tries to comfort Barret and lets him know that Marlene is safe. Cloud knows where Aerith would take Marlene, so he leads the group to her house. They arrive at the house and confront Elmira. Elmira reveals that Aerith gave herself up to Shinra so that they wouldn't harm herself or Marlene. She also confirms that the fact that Aerith is indeed the sole survivor of the Ancients, and that she is not Aerith's biological mother. Elmira met Aerith and her real mother 15 years ago during the Wu Tai War. During the war, Elmira had a husband that was drafted and deployed. When the war was coming to a close, she received a letter saying that her husband was coming home on leave. Elmira would go to the train station every day for her husband's safe return. Days would go by with no sign of her husband. Then one day, Elmira came across a young woman and a little girl. The woman was in critical condition, and Elmira tried to tend to her wounds. The woman begged Elmira to look after her daughter Aerith. Elmira agreed and took Aerith back home and raised the child as her own. Elmira and Aerith quickly bonded with each other and became very close. When Aerith was growing up, Elmira could tell that she was a unique and curious child. Aerith would say things that Elmira wouldn't completely understand. Aerith would talk about the days when she was with her original mother, stating that she escaped from a research laboratory with her. Also, that she wasn't lonely without her mother because she knows that she has returned to the planet now. As Aerith grew up, Elmira noticed that Aerith had special gifts that she didn't completely understand. One day, out of the blue, Aerith told Elmira, "Please, don't cry. Someone dear to you has just died, and his spirit is coming to see you, but he has already returned to the planet." At the time, Elmira couldn't believe her daughter, but a few days later, she would receive a letter. It was a notice from the army, letting Elmira know that her husband has died in action. Aerith was able to sense the spirits returning to the planet. During this time, Shinra tracked down Aerith from the laboratory she escaped from. Sang of the Turks explained that Aerith is so important because she's one of the Ancients that can lead them to the Promised Land. The Promised Land is part of an old legend that was speculated to be a place with vast amounts of Mako energy and will bring supreme happiness. This is why Shinra is hoping for Aerith's cooperation. Aerith would always deny these claims as a little girl, but Elmira knew her daughter was special. She could tell that Aerith had powers and could hear voices that no one else could. After Elmira finishes her story, Barret apologizes for Aerith's capture, taking responsibility in the fact that Aerith probably wouldn't be captured if she wasn't protecting Marlene. Elmira is disappointed in Barret's actions as a parent and asks how he could leave a child alone like that. Barret kills himself every day asking the same question. He is always heartbroken inside, knowing he's away from his daughter. But Barret explains that this is the hard choice he has to make. He feels that if he doesn't fight for the planet, no one will, and that everything he does is for his daughter's future. So Barret will keep fighting, so that one day he will be able to be with his daughter. Barret and Marlene are overjoyed to be reunited again, but Barret knows that the fighting isn't over. Barret feels guilty since Aerith got captured, so he decides to go with Cloud and Tifa to the Shinra building to get Aerith back. At the same time, Barret hates to do this, but asks Elmira to look after Marlene, stating that he's not sure when they'll be back. Elmira, being sympathetic, understands Barrett's motivations and agrees to look after Marlene. Cloud, Tifa, and Barret leave Sector 6 and make their way to the entrance of the Shinra Corporation building. They try to think of a way to gain access into the building without having to go headfirst, guns blazing. Cloud remembers that there is an abandoned back entrance with a stairwell that should be unguarded. They make their way through the stairwell and reach the restricted floors of the building. So they can evade security on the restricted floors, the team sneak into the ventilation system of the building. While inside, Cloud, Tifa, and Barret spy on a board meeting between the big Shinra executives. The meeting consists of President Shinra, Heidegger, Reeve, and they are joined by 2 other executives. There is Scarlet, the head of Shinra's weapons development, and Palmer, the head of the Shinra space program. Reeve reveals that overall damage to Sector 7 has been estimated to be over 10 billion gil in costs. He begins to lay out plans for the restoration process, but President Shinra cuts him off. President Shinra explains that he has no intention of rebuilding Sector 7, possibly to make an example out of Avalanche. Instead, President Shinra orders them to initiate the Neo-Midgar plan. Their objective will be to use Aerith as the last agent to locate the Promised Land. To fund this business adventure, President Shinra orders the board to raise the prices of Mako in the remaining sectors of Midgar. Reeve tries to reason with President Shinra, stating the move will only hurt the morale of the people. But President Shinra dismisses the notion by belittling the intelligence of the citizens of Midgar. He states that their control over the population is far too strong and that the citizens will blindly follow. At this moment, we are introduced to the head of Shinra's Science and Research Division, Professor Hojo. Hojo came to report the progress of the current ancient experiment, Aerith. He explains that Aerith is not as worthy of a specimen as her mother, Ifalna. Hojo isn't satisfied with the current state of the progress, so he tends to breed Aerith to help increase productivity. As the meeting ends, Cloud, Tifa, and Barret tail Hojo in hopes that he will lead them to Aerith's location. They reach Hojo's main laboratory, and Tifa spots one of the other specimens undergoing testing. Cloud surveys the rest of the area and finds a large test chamber labeled Genova. Inside, we see what looks like the mutated remains of a woman. The very sight triggers one of Cloud's episodes, except this time it's the most violent that they've ever been. Tifa runs over to Cloud's side, trying to comfort him as he mumbles the names Genova, Sephiroth. Tifa and Barret help Cloud come back to his senses as they move deeper into the lab. They reach the level where the test subjects are being held and confront Hojo. It would seem Hojo failed 10th grade biology because he's trying to breed Aerith with another specimen of an endangered species that's part of the canine family. Barret is totally appalled by Hojo's sick and unethical actions of crossbreeding, so he opens fires on the test chamber to break it open. The chamber overheats from the gunfire and the door blasts open. The canine test subject emerges from the test chamber and attacks Hojo to immobilize him. Amongst the chaos, another one of Hojo's monstrous experiments emerges from the chamber. The canine speaks to everyone, informing the group that he can help take down the beast. Everyone is shocked by the fact that the canine can talk, but there's no time for questions as the group bands together to take down the beast. With the monstrous specimen defeated, the canine introduces himself as Red 13 to everyone and agrees to help them escape. Barret advises that it would be a bad idea to travel in such a large group, so they break into 2 teams to make their escape. Everyone regroups at the elevators and proceed down to the exit. Before the team can get off the elevator, they are cut off and captured by 2 members of the Turks, Rude and Sang. They are brought before President Shinra in his personal office. Cloud notices that Aerith is missing and demands to know where she is. President Shinra assures him that she is somewhere safe, but isn't of Cloud's concern. He then explains that the ancients used to be known as another name, the Cetra. They flourished in history over 1,000 years ago, but are mostly forgotten in common knowledge. Red 13 seems to be aware of the Cetra legend and is surprised to hear that Aerith is a lone survivor. President Shinra is a firm believer that, with Aerith being the descendant of the people of legend, she will help them get to the Promised Land. Red 13 knows the Promised Land as well and thought it was just a legend. The legend says that the Promised Land is a very fertile place. President Shinra thinks that must mean that it must be abundant with Mako energy. There, Shinra will build a new city of Midgar with unlimited fuel that they will control. President Shinra is done entertaining everyone and orders the Turks to imprison the captives. Aerith overhears the others get put into containment cells next to her. She calls out to Cloud to see if he's there in the cell. Cloud hears her and assures her that everything will be okay. Aerith wasn't worried one bit because she knew that he would come to rescue her. Cloud tells Aerith that he hasn't forgotten that he is her bodyguard. Aerith is happy to hear Cloud say that, and reminds him about their future date. Tifa overhears Cloud and Aerith's conversation and gets a bit angry out of jealousy. Tifa interrupts the conversation and asks Aerith if the Promised Land really exists. Aerith replies that she's unsure. All she knows is that the Cetra do have a very strong connection with the planet Gaia. The Cetra were born from the planet, they can speak with the planet, and they can unlock the planet. And that one day, there will be a time where the Cetra will be called to the Promised Land, the land that promises supreme happiness. The team finds themselves in a tight spot, unsure how they're going to get out of the situation, so they decide to sleep on it and think of a plan in the morning. Cloud wakes up in the middle of the night with the cell door open. He runs out to check the area, only to find the prison guard dead. Cloud grabs the keys off the dead guard and frees everyone from their cells. The outside is riddled with blood, and all the Shinra employees are horrifically massacred. The group follows the blood, and it leads them to Hojo's main laboratory. They find the test chamber holding Genova mangled and broken wide open. The blood trail doesn't end there, so the group follows it all the way to President Shinra's office. We find President Shinra dead at his desk, impaled with an unusually large katana. Tifa and Cloud recognize the blade instantly, claiming it belongs to Sephiroth. Tifa is finding this hard to believe, because for the longest time, Sephiroth was supposedly pronounced dead. Aerith spots Palmer cowering in the corner. He tries to run away, but Cloud and Barret grab him, demanding answers. Palmer confirms Tifa and Cloud's notions and the fact that Sephiroth is alive, and he spoke to him. Sephiroth came to send a message, stating that he won't let anyone have the Promised Land. A mysterious helicopter appears and interrupts the interrogation, causing Palmer to slip away. Barret recognizes the man in the helicopter as Vice President Rufus, the son of the late President Shinra. The group follows Palmer outside to confront Rufus. Palmer informs Rufus of the events that has transpired and runs off into the helicopter. Rufus is unamused in the introduction of our band of misfits that now consists of 2 Avalanche members, an ex-soldier, a flower girl, and a lab experiment. With the President Shinra's death, Rufus is next in line of succession, making him the new president of Shinra Corp. We can see very quickly that Rufus is quite similar to his old man, even if he would never admit it. Like his father, Rufus is one for theatrics, by having an inauguration speech already prepared. Obviously, there wasn't a ton of love within the Shinra household, since Rufus doesn't even take time to mourn his father's death. Rufus makes it very clear that he's going to run the company very differently from his father, claiming that his father was too soft, only using money to solve his problems. Rufus declares that he will run Shinra with an iron fist, and control everyone with fear. Cloud, not wanting to waste any time, he urges Barret to take everyone to make their escape, while he stays behind to take care of Rufus, finding it unwise to leave someone with Rufus' power unchecked and left to their own devices. Barret takes the group and leaves Cloud behind. Aerith and Tifa don't feel comfortable just leaving Cloud alone, so Tifa decides to stay behind to make sure Cloud is okay, while everyone else moves on ahead. Barret, Aerith, and Red 13 make their way down to the entrance, taking on the remnants of the Shinra security menace. Meanwhile, Cloud and Rufus' battle rages on. Rufus fails to understand why Cloud is intent on fighting him. Cloud knows that he needs to protect the Promised Land for the greater good of the planet, stating that he will stop him and Sephiroth from getting their hands on it. Cloud and Rufus' battle is cut short as Palmer storms in with the helicopter to help Rufus make a daring exit. Without a moment to lose, Cloud heads back to regroup with everyone. He runs into Tifa and lets her know that he couldn't finish off Rufus. Cloud knows it's not going to be easy escaping Shinra Corp, so Cloud comes up with a plan and has Tifa regroup with the others. Aerith, Barret, and Red 13 finally make it to the front entrance. Barret goes to check on the situation outside the building. As Barret makes his way through the front door, he is greeted with the full force of Shinra security and a wave of gunfire. He rushes back inside, letting Aerith and Red 13 know that the front is a no-go. Tifa finally catches up with everyone and lets them know of Cloud's plan. Tifa and her group make their way to the rendezvous point on the Shinra showroom floor, an area where Shinra holds their Project Energy vehicles. Cloud comes barreling down the stairs on the back of a motorcycle. Tifa and the rest of the group hop inside one of the showroom vehicles. Cloud leads them through the building, busting through a window and crashing onto the highway below. With Shinra hot on their tails, Shinra is not giving an inch, unleashing the full force of their armada. Cloud, with his trusty Buster Sword in hand, cuts through waves of Shinra's forces like butter, truly displaying his skills as an ex-soldier operative. With Barret in the back giving suppressive cover fire, Cloud and company reach the end of the line of the unfinished highway, leaving them with the only option to make the last stand against Shinra's last-staying armor mechs. Having come so far just to lose everything here is not an option. The new Team Avalanche band together to take down the armor mech, showing why Avalanche is a force to be reckoned with. Having a moment to breathe, the group contemplates everyone's next course of action is going to be. With the knowledge of Sephiroth still being alive, Cloud has an unfinished vendetta that he intends to take care of. Seeing that defeating Sephiroth may be the key to protecting the planet, Barret agrees to join Cloud in his search. Aerith agrees to join as well, knowing that the journey will give her a lot of answers to questions about the Ancients that she's had for years. With Tifa being who she is, there is no way she's going to leave everyone after coming this far, and so, she comes along to see this through to the end. And Red 13 will follow suit until he finds what he's looking for. Now with the vast open world ahead of them, the search for Sephiroth begins. Wow, thank you so much for reaching the end of this video. This is only but one in this multi-part series that I'm creating for Final Fantasy VII. Reliving and retelling the epic tale of 7 about its characters, their relationships, and the connections that they make throughout their journey. A story of love, loss, and identity, and betrayal, but then legacy and rebirth. So please, rate, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next part of this epic tale. I'm Keta Mercer, and I'll see you soon, Avalanche.